Gem International is a new diamond explorer in the richest diamond producing country in Africa, located next to the fourth largest producing diamond mine in the world. International Spotlight is on an 1109 carat diamond recently discovered in Africa by a fellow Canadian junior with a proven operator and finance team. Gem International trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol GI. Visit us at gemdiamondmining.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Martyn Element. He's a Vancouver marketing and corporate advisor who focuses on sourcing and pursuing new business ventures and opportunities around this great planet we live on. Welcome back to the show, Martyn.
Welcome to you, Jim. And, you know, it's exciting times we live in at the moment for one reason or another. So I think we've got a show here, so let's let it go.
Donald Trump, of course, is going to be officially the president within a few hours of us speaking. What kind of an effect has he had on the markets, and what kind of an effect do you think he's going to have in the future? Well, he's already, I think, affecting the price of gold again, or the price of fear. I think other people would use that terminology. I think as he's causing a lot of uncertainty, and for many, many, many different reasons. That we're not a political broadcast, we're a financial and business broadcast, but he's certainly causing a lot of disruption. And, you know, statements that he just came up with, for example, that he thinks the US dollar is too high, and he'd like to see it come down dramatically. And he thinks that would, you know, be obviously he's thinking the Chinese are a big part of that and accusing them of that. So, you know, he's a very outspoken fellow, and but some of the things he's proposing are causing disruptions within the market. But of course, he's also bringing a lot of good things as well, because I think a lot of the actual basic commodities are showing great signs of strength, some of the greatest strength they've shown in years, and a lot of people are attributing that to Trump's philosophy of, you know, building more roads, more infrastructure, and of course that takes an awful lot of different things such as copper and all these base metals. So he, you know, at the same time he's causing a lot of disruption and fear in some quarters. He's also causing a tremendous amount of strength in these, for instance, with things just simply like base metals. But, you know, I think that we shouldn't dwell too long on the political side, but you can't help but talk about politics, because of course May, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, made her biggest speech yet, I think, on BRICS, and it's been a mixed review, but I would think from my own opinion, it's, you know, I would say 75% very positive. Of course, there's a lot of people in the EU are not happy with what she's saying, but the lady is showing tremendous strength, and I think she's getting the backing of the majority of the politicians there as well, which is very good, because she's going to need that to get these things done. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that affects things like the British pound. Someone was just saying to me today that he had a client that had a lot of money from a result of a favorable trade here in Vancouver, and he said, you know, I'm advising him to get that cash as fast as possible over to the UK and to the pound. So, you know, this is a business show, but of course things like speeches and people and immigrants moving around and one thing and another results into investments and things happening in the investment field, directly involves the investment field. One thing I noted about Theresa May is that physically she sounds like Margaret Thatcher, and I get little hints of maybe the same kind of very stiff backbone as well.
Well, I think, you know, to what we must think, must know is that she didn't, you know, Theresa isn't there by accident. She's come out of a mix. It was going to be Boris's job, and then there was the whole thing that went on there, and one thing and another, and she's put him into a very powerful position, foreign minister, and so she has to be tough, and she's going to have to be tougher as they go against the European Union on what they're proposing.
So no, I think that the comment is well taken, and I think it's probably quite accurate. And isn't Theresa May a Reverend's daughter as well, the same as the lady that runs Germany as well?
Merkel, yes.
Merkel, they're both from that background. So no, fire and brimstone, and is needed, I think, under these circumstances. And it's going to be very interesting year that we're going to have. It'll be a very eventful year, I'm sure. And but at the same time, in our world, in particularly Vancouver, where we're basing ourselves out of, gold is definitely back on the march again, and so is marijuana, for that matter. I was just before we came on air, I was talking to a senior broker. It's the broker in town here who came up with the rights issue idea, which has worked extremely well, of course. And now he's telling me he's working on some major marijuana situations again. And one of the things he had was very, very interesting. When they grow these plants, I've been round one of these installations, and it was, listeners, if you get a chance, it's a lot of effort because of the security and everything else, but what an interesting visit that was. But what these grow-ups are after, of course, isn't the leaves, it's not the stems or the roots. What they're all after is the bud of the plant, and they nurture those buds, and they do specific things just before they harvest to get the maximum they can out of the buds. But, there's a lot of leaves and stems and things left over. And what this chap is proposing is there's a company in the States which goes around and collects all of the, I wouldn't call it waste, but all of the non really what they're after. Not the buds themselves. So he's looking to finance a group that actually has mobile plants, much like these plants you see in the main streets of town and around the world here that come and take all your paper. And, the shredding, or the mobile shredding, great big trucks that come and park themselves at the base of some of these big office complexes, and they sit there and they actually shred on site. Well, this company will come into these big marijuana producing plants and take all of the leaves, stalks, probably the roots too, and process it, and they make it into oil. And I haven't heard of that one before, but it's another example of supplementary on, obviously the key is the actual buds themselves, which they process, but it's just interesting to see this particular sector explode, and it's starting up again, never really went away. There's always losers. You've got to try very hard. I've talked about it before with brewing, with micro brewing, or as it's known now, more craft brewing. Since that roll has been rolling for 15 or 20 years, you would have had to try very, very hard to fail in making a microbrewery, because it's just because you've got that, what I call the wave theory, not the Elliott wave theory, but the wave theory. When you've got something like that going, it's a hell of a lift, because you can make mistakes as you go. But with the marijuana is a similar story. So I think there's still the odd failure, of course, as there will be. But I was hearing the other day there used to be 13 licenses have been issued, and now there's 39 licenses have been issued in Canada. So they've been accelerating the issuing of those licenses. So yes, there's going to be more and more people getting more and more active. The last time we talked about this, I think there was 8 companies that were public, and they arguably have been put into huge capitalizations because of the American public wanting to share or wanting to be part of this revolution with marijuana.
We'll have more with Martyn Element right after the break.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Martyn Element. Martyn, the Cambridge House Mining Investment and Resource Conference is on Sunday and Monday at the Vancouver Convention Center. It looks like a pretty exciting list of speakers, and you're saying attendance is expected to be double of what it was last year.
More than double than last year. But remember, listeners, this time last year, the market had not kicked in. It had to some very, very wise souls. I remember one of my chaps in Perth, Australia, was calling me just around this time and saying, Martyn, it's on, it's game on, it's game on, it's this, it's that. And he was so right. He was early. But it was really the second or third week of February that things really got underway. If you look at any graphs on the TSX venture, you'll see that, and a lot of it was, I'm basing a lot of that on resource stocks, mixed in, I'm sure, with some marijuana stocks as well. But so, no, the show is very well attended. And as usual, from all over the world, I had my lunch bought by a charming German gentleman yesterday, Alex, and I've never met him before, and they've come from all over the world. We have a tremendous amount of people come in from Germany and Switzerland, listeners, because that's where a lot of activity goes on with these, particularly with resource stocks. So yes, it's going to be a big show. But of course, a lot of people are as excited about the show after Cambridge show called the Roundup, which is more of an industry show, and it's more of people within industry, and a lot of people come in from around the world for that too. It's not quite the impact of the Cambridge, because Cambridge is focusing on a lot of retail people. But no, it's exciting. I'm going to go down on the Sunday. I'm not around on the Monday, but I'm going to be there on Sunday and have a good walk around. And any listeners locally here that are listening to the show, it's free admission as far as I know, and anybody can go. And if you'd like to go and have a look and talk to some of these people, you know, the same rules apply, listeners. You've got to be exceptionally careful when and what you're doing there, and always seek advice from professionals if you do decide you want to do something. You must be very careful on that front, but I'm saying it'll be very exciting, a very good thing to do. We talked also about cobalt. The price of cobalt is skyrocketing at the moment, and it doesn't help, or if that's not the right expression, you know, when you get the Robert Friedlands of the world through the Ivanhoe mines was the heading on he was speaking under their banner, that he thinks that cobalt is just going to keep going, and cobalt is the ingredient that isn't spoken about that much with the production of these cars. But cobalt is becoming one of the new darlings, and, you know, pick of the week, pick of the month, call it what you will. And it's going to be exciting to see how that hands. But anytime you've got the Robert Friedlands of the world leading the charge, people pay attention. And Tesla has its Gigafactory, which started up in the last 2 weeks, but then the Chinese came out just a few days ago with an even bigger factory than the one he's building in Nevada, by the Complementary Apex Technology. They are $11 billion corporation out of China, and CATL is the name of the company, and they are going to be doing an even bigger turn with the Tesla company. And of course, along with the cobalt prices, the lithium prices have been lifting again recently as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see some of these gold, lithium. I'm sure silver will start to show some real signs of life as well. But meanwhile, you know, you've got tremendous gyrations going on, and it's going to be an exciting time for all of us to view from the outside looking in. And we have the big day tomorrow for Mr. Trump, of course.
Martyn, I know it was pretty exciting to find out that they can recover lithium from old oil wells, and you said that the prospects are just tremendous there.
Well, because that's a friend of mine, and he was a client of mine, and still is a client of mine. I don't want to go into the actual company. We've sort of made a point of not doing that, but yes, he's doing abandoned oil wells. But of course, you know, at the moment he's focusing in Alberta, but there's abandoned oil wells in America, 1 or 2 down there, and there's 1 or 2 in Australia, and there's an awful lot of spodumene hard rock lithium in Australia, and he's having tremendous success with that. But he's using the best of the best. He's had a big oil company come in and work with him as well, but it's all about the technical side. It's all about having the expertise and being able to try and crack this nut. And he is trying to crack that nut. His company's doing very well, but you can only imagine if he can really get that going on any scale, then it could even affect the price of the raw lithium as we know it around the world. And, you know, there's the brines and the hard rocks, I'm sure, but that's a ways off yet. But just on the chance of that happening, it's causing a lot of interest.
Martyn, I think we'll have a pretty good time at the Cambridge House Conference, meeting up with old friends we haven't seen for a while.
No, that's what I love, and I love doing that. And Rick Rule, or Bigfoot as we used to call him, hope that doesn't get back to him, but from his previous things, and we go back 30, 40 years, Rick and I, and it's always lovely to have a quick chat with the Rick Rules of the world. So, look, listeners, we'll have a really good show next time, because we'll have that under our belt, and I look forward to talking to you about this upcoming week.
And information in Cambridge House, it's free to register up until the day of the conference, and if you walk up then, it's $20. So register now, it's free.
Thank you for having me on, and I love doing this show so much, and a happy weekend coming up to all the listeners.
Thank you, Martyn.
Thank you, sir.
My guest has been Martyn Element, a Vancouver marketing and corporate advisor who focuses on sourcing and pursuing new business ventures and opportunities around the planet. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at Talk Digital Net. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. You can forward questions to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.